investment in the Matildas of over 200 million. The excitement around Morocco, Jamaica being crowdfunded is like we're going to see more money and more investment coming from around the world.
Hi, I'm here with Jenna Trabulus at World Football Summit. Hi, Jenna. I've just seen you announce something like yesterday or 2 days ago, so new role.
Yes. Yesterday I announced that I'm part of Next League. I joined as the VP of Client Strategy and Delivery. And basically Next League is working with some of the biggest names in sports and figuring out like new business models and technology and how do we engage fandom in the new way. So I'll be leading a team that's focused on what do we call our champions, NFL, XFL, NASCAR, and the US Olympic Committee on building their digital experiences. And I'm here at the World Football Summit because there's huge opportunities in football or soccer globally, and we're here talking about women's football in particular and new deals and access in that space.
So you're basically working with David Nugent.
I am working with David.
A veteran like me.
Yes,
Can you say that?
You're a veteran, but like there's no other man that has the guy with the scarf. You're a legend. He's a veteran.
Nah, come on. What you're looking forward here in Sevilla?
Well, I was really excited about the topic this morning from some of the major teams in Europe around the future of fandom.
Yeah, Arsenal. Team from Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yes, how they're really building their own technology and understanding their consumer and fan base in a different way. So much of that has been disaggregated and it has been captured by whether it's the ticketing players or the broadcasters, and really having that full view of the fan and starting to think about fandom not just on a local level, but how they're building that brand on a global level and allowing fans to be part of that experience of co-creation. I think there's a lot of buzzwords around that, but I see a lot of the teams really moving in that direction. And so how do you build the infrastructure, the technology, and the tools to help you understand that fan better and connect with them, not just through like the hardcore of tech and data, but through storytelling and through experiences.
See, my buzzword was fandom membership, that maybe means nothing, but was the idea of saying, look, you're a football club, in Europe at least,
right,
and possibly the biggest loyalty to a brand, like my granddad was a Torino fan, my dad was a Torino fan, I am, my kids know, but that's another story.
Right.
And it's not basically leveraged by clubs.
Right.
Clubs don't have this. They're not leveraging the huge channel that basically a fan would have with them implicitly. Yeah. They're not doing it right. I mean, not many, or not anyone.
No. I think we're seeing a shift though. I mean, truthfully, like the biggest brands in the world are Coca-Cola and McDonald's, but no one would wear that on their body. Like there's an opportunity with sports, and it's been there forever, to have fans be the evangelists for their brand. You don't have to. It's about, yes, there's marketing spend and there's storytelling and there's experiences, but like each individual fan can be that evangelist by wearing the clothes, by creating the content, by being part of being the extension of the club. The
only loyalty to a brand that I always compare that to is Apple, and the fact that MLS and Apple are together, maybe not a random act of marketing. Do you think that can be a transformational, forget Messi for a moment, can be transformational because of the length and who they are? Both players, MLS and Apple, kind of open to innovation.
I mean, I think Apple has built a kind of an ecosystem of technology, right? Like you wear that brand as
look
fashion.
At me, look at me.
Look at me as well. I do think that Messi has been a tipping point though for MLS and for soccer in the US, because he in himself is a recognizable global brand, and coming off of World Cup victory for Argentina has changed it. He's also changed the economies of the cities where he's playing. But MLS cannot just be sustained on one person, right? So they're gearing up for the World Cup. Like the fandom within the US, like they're doing a lot, I think, to build out the connection between the US and Mexico with the competitions between the two countries, and also thinking about the next generation of fans and a more diverse fan base. But you can't build an entire league based on one person. And I think that one person, though, is attracting different type of quality of player into the US. And I think part of that transformation will be you're seeing even in just from Inter Miami, like their jerseys are selling out, outside of the pink. Like everyone's wearing that outside of that. It's a moment, and I think how does that translate to the other teams in the other cities? Because it's not just about one team and one player.
And we're just out of a session with the Saudi League, with Peter Hutton, Luis Vicente, etc. And I was thinking, maybe the biggest stories in football this year are not in Europe.
I mean, obviously, we're seeing with the Women's World Cup the changes that we're seeing outside of Europe and even in the U.S. Like with the investment in the Matildas of over 200 million to build out that team. We're seeing the excitement around Morocco, the Jamaica being crowdfunded. Is like we're going to see more money and more investment coming from around the world.
And there's finally a stadium for women's sport. I've seen it announced yesterday.
I mean, Kansas City is the first stadium that's going to be built for women, and I think by women, with a women's owner and a women's president. And what that means as far as what's the differentiation, I don't know. I mean, I think we'll see what does it mean to build a stadium fit for women's football, and how is that different than what we've built in the past. I think there's going to be a lot more around kind of safety considerations, but also how do you have access to the players and how do you feel like you're part of the team? Because that's, I think, one of the big differences in how fans, and not just women, engage with women's football players.
And last thing, because it's hard for a non-American to understand it, because we don't have that tradition in college sport. How did it happen that so many people went to watch a volleyball match, women volleyball match?
I mean,
at that college level, that's completely insane for Europe.
Well, I think that
what is the explanation, please?
Volleyball is a bit of a sleeping giant within the United States. With Title IX emerging, 50 years ago, there's been more access for women to play athletics at all levels. And we're seeing within the United States, like volleyball is huge. It's been huge growth as far as team sports. And I think what happened that with this convergence is like we're seeing that growth. Media has not picked up on it.
No.
And they created a moment. Like they created a experience that is unique. Like they orchestrated that moment, and it obviously is the biggest attended event for all women's sports.
No, but because for us it's hard to understand college football at 100,000 or 110,000, I guess, is the record. But women, and forget volleyball, even if in Italy we love ball, I mean, that's insane. I mean, really insane. So we have to learn something.
I mean, and some of it was borrowing a little bit of the traditions that they use for football and the walkout and letting women have that same experience, but also it was having that differentiated experience of women's sport and what they brought to it. But I think you're going to see these numbers continue to grow. And part of it is making sure that there's visibility around these events. Not only was there over 90,000 people in attendance, like streaming and viewership around that was over 500,000 for a sport that is not like in the top even 6 in the US right now. There's passionate fans, and it's just how do they have access to that kind of content and to the players in a different way.
Okay.
Good?
Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go see some more panels.
Yeah.